Hello, and welcome to the second part of our Top 100 Project Manager interview questions and answers session. In this video, we will be covering the most common questions asked during project manager interviews, as well as some tips and strategies for answering them. Whether you're a seasoned project manager or just starting out in the field, this video will provide valuable insight and preparation for your next interview. So sit back, relax, and let's dive in. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel Careers Talk and like this video if you found it helpful. Thank you for watching, and we hope you find this video useful in your career journey as a project manager. So without further delay, let's begin. Question number 51. How do you handle team members who are not meeting budget or resource constraints? As a project manager, it is my responsibility to ensure that all team members are meeting budget and resource constraints within the project. When a team member is not meeting constraints, it can have significant impact on the overall success of the project. Therefore, it is important to address the issue as soon as it is identified and to have a clear plan in place for addressing and resolving the issue. One approach that I've found to be effective is to have regular meetings with the team member to discuss their progress and to identify any issues or challenges that they may be facing. During these meetings, I work with the team member to develop a plan for addressing any budget or resource constraints that they may be facing. This may involve identifying and implementing cost saving measures or finding ways to optimize the use of resources. Another approach that I have found to be effective is to implement a performance management process that includes clear metrics and targets for each team member. This allows me to measure and track the progress of each team member and to identify any areas where they may be falling short of expectations. By implementing a performance management process, I can take a more proactive approach to addressing budget and resource constraints rather than waiting for issues to arise. For example, in a project where the budget is tight, we encountered a team member who was using expensive tools and resources for their tasks. This was causing the budget to exceed and was affecting the project's timeline. I scheduled a meeting with the team member and discussed with them the budget constraints and how their actions were affecting the project. Together, we worked on finding alternatives that would still allow them to complete their tasks but at a lower cost, thus reducing the overall budget and keeping the project on track. Another example was in a project where the resources were limited. One of the team members was requesting additional resources for their tasks, which would cause a delay in the project timeline. I scheduled a meeting with the team member to discuss the resource constraints and how the request would affect the project. During the meeting, we worked on finding ways to optimize the resources we had and using them in a more efficient way. By doing this, we were able to complete the tasks without any delay and without requesting additional resources. In conclusion, as an IT project manager, it is important to have a clear plan in place for addressing and resolving issues related to budget and resource constraints. This may involve regular meetings with team members, implementing a performance management process, and finding ways to optimize the use of resources. By addressing these issues in a timely and effective manner, we can ensure the overall success of the project and meet the project's budget and resource constraints. Question number 52. How do you handle team members who are not meeting project goals or objectives? Well, here's the answer to this question. As an IT project manager, it is important to identify and address any issues with team members who are not meeting project goals or objectives in a timely and effective manner. The following are two examples of how I might handle the situation. Firstly, example number one. Number one, identify the issue. The first step is to identify the specific issue or problem that is preventing the team member from meeting project goals or objectives. This could include a lack of understanding of the task or project requirements, lack of necessary skills or experience, or a personal issue that is impacting their performance. Number two, communicate with the team member. Once the issue has been identified, it is important to communicate directly with the team member to understand their perspective and any challenges they're facing. This could be done through one on one meetings, email, or other forms of communication. Number three, develop a plan of action. Based on the information gathered from the team member, develop a plan of action to address the issue. This could include providing additional training or resources, adjusting project timelines, or reassigning tasks to other team members. Number four, monitor progress. Regularly monitor the team members' progress to ensure the plan of action is having the desired effect and make any necessary adjustments. Let's look at the second example now. In this second approach, the first step is to identify the issue. Well, in this scenario, the team members consistently missing deadlines and not meeting project's goals or objectives. The second is to communicate with the team member. After identifying the issue, I would schedule a meeting with the team member to discuss the problem and understand their perspective. During the meeting, we would explore any challenges that the team member is facing and what can be done to help them meet their deadline and complete the assigned tasks. Number three, develop a plan of action. After discussing the challenges and identifying possible solutions, we would develop a plan of action together. This could include providing additional resources, adjusting the deadline, or reassigning some of the tasks to other team members. Number four, monitor progress. We would set regular check ins and reviews of the team members' progress to ensure they are meeting the project goals and objectives. If they're not meeting the deadlines, we would work together to understand why and make necessary adjustments in the plan of action. In both examples, it is important to communicate openly and honestly with the team member and to take proactive approach to addressing the issue. By working together, the team member and I can develop a plan of action and monitor progress to ensure the project goals and objectives are met. Let's now look at question number 53. How do you handle team members who are not meeting quality standards for their work? As an IT project manager, handling team members who are not meeting quality standards for their work is an important part of my role. I believe in addressing this issue in a professional and constructive manner, with the goal of improving the overall performance of the team and ensuring that the project is completed on time and within budget. Here are two examples of how I would handle team members who are not meeting quality standards for their work. In the first instance, I identified that one of my team members was consistently producing work that did not meet the required quality standards. After discussing the issue with the team member, I discovered that they were not completely familiar with the software and tools that were being used for the project. To address this, I provided additional training and resources to help them improve their skill and increase their confidence in their ability to produce quality work. In another instance, I discovered that one of my team members was not meeting quality standards for their work due to a lack of attention to detail. To address this, I set up a system of regular quality checks and provided feedback on their work to help them understand what was expected and how they could improve. Additionally, I made sure that they had the appropriate tools and resources to help them do their work more efficiently, such as templates and checklists to assist them in the process. Overall, I believe that open communication, providing training and resources, and regular quality checks are key to ensuring that team members are meeting the quality standards for their work. By addressing issues quickly and constructively, I believe that we can help improve the overall performance of the team and ensure that the project is completed on time and within budget. Question number 54 is up next. How do you handle team members who are not following company policies or procedures? As an IT project manager, it is my responsibility to ensure that all team members are following company policies and procedures. When a team member is not guidelines, it can have a negative impact on the project and the company as a whole. Therefore, it is important to address the issue quickly and effectively. First, I would have a one on one meeting with the team member to discuss the specific policies or procedures that they are not following. During this meeting, I would listen to their perspective and try to understand their reasoning for not following the guidelines. After discussing the issue, I would provide clear instructions on how they can correct their behavior and ensure they understand the importance of following company policies and procedures. If the issue persists after this initial meeting, I would consult with my team member's supervisor and possibly HR to find a solution. It may be necessary to implement a performance improvement plan or disciplinary action to ensure the team member is held accountable for their actions. Let's look at two examples then. Example number one. One team member was consistently missing deadlines for their assigned tasks. Upon investigation, it was found that they were not following the company's time management policy. I had a one-on-one meetings with the team member and explained how their behavior was negatively impacting the project. I provided them with the company's time management policy and outlined specific steps that they could take to improve their performance, such as using a task management tool and setting specific deadlines for themselves. After implementing these steps, the team members' performance improved and they were able to meet their deadlines. Let's look at the second example. Another team member was found to be using personal devices for work purposes without proper security measures in place. This was a violation of the company's IT security policy. I had a meeting with the team member to discuss this issue and explained the importance of following company policies for security. I provided them with the company's IT security policy and outlined specific steps they needed to take, such as installing a VPN on their device, update the security software. The team member was able to comply with these steps and their behavior improved, keeping the company's IT security in check. In summary, as an IT project manager, it is important to address issues of team members not following company policies and procedures promptly and effectively. By having a one on one meeting, providing clear instructions and offering support, and involving the relevant authorities if required. It is possible to ensure that team members are held accountable for their actions and the project can run smoothly. Here's question number 55. How do you handle team members who are not collaborating effectively with others? As an IT project manager, it is important to address issues of team members not collaborating effectively with others as soon as they arise. It is crucial for the success of the project and the overall team dynamic. Here are two examples of how I would handle this situation. Example number one. If a team member is not actively participating in team meetings or not responding to group emails or messages, I would first try to understand the reasons behind their behavior. I would schedule a one on one meeting with them and ask them about any potential challenges or obstacles that are preventing them from collaborating with the rest of the team. Depending on their response, I would provide support and guidance to help them overcome any issues. For example, if they are struggling with a particular task, I would offer to provide additional training or resources to help them complete it. Example number two. If a team member is not following through on their assigned tasks and not communicating with other team members, I would first address the issue with them directly. I would ask them to explain their reasons for not following through on their tasks and not communicating with the team. If the issue is related to a lack of understanding of the role or a lack of clarity on their tasks, I would provide additional training or clarification on their responsibilities. If the issue is related to a lack of motivation or engagement, I would work with the team member to help them find ways to increase their engagement and motivation. Additionally, I would check with the other team members and discuss the situation with them to understand the extent of the problem and then take appropriate actions to ensure smooth collaboration and completion of tasks. Ultimately, it is important to approach the situation with empathy and understanding while also holding team members accountable for their actions. By working together, we can find solution to any issue and ensure that the project is completed successfully. Here's question number 56. How do you handle team members who are not contributing to team discussions or meetings? As an IT project manager, it is important to address team members who are not contributing to team discussions or meetings in a constructive and proactive manner. This can help to maintain a positive and productive work environment for all team members, as well as ensure that the project stays on track and is completed successfully. Let's look at two examples. Example number one. One approach to handling team members who are not contributing to team discussions or meetings is to schedule one on one meetings with them. During these meetings, it is important to ask open ended questions and actively listen to the responses in order to understand why they may be hesitant to contribute. This could be due to lack of confidence, a lack of understanding of the project, or a lack of relevant skills or knowledge. By identifying the root cause of the issue, the project manager can then work with the team member to develop a plan of action to address the issue and help them feel more confident and involved in the project. Example number two. Another approach is to incorporate different methods of communication and collaboration into the team's workflow. For example, some team members may prefer to communicate and contribute to the project through written documentation or email, while others may prefer to contribute through virtual meetings or video conferencing. By providing different ways for team members to participate and contribute, the project manager can help to ensure that everyone feels comfortable and able to contribute in a way that best suits their personal communication style. Overall, it is important to remember that every team member is unique and may have different motivations and ways of working. By being open minded and flexible, the project manager can help to create a positive and inclusive work environment where everyone feels comfortable and able to contribute their ideas and expertise. This putting forward of one's personal ideas can ultimately lead to a more successful project outcome. Question number 57 is here for us now. How do you handle team members who are not following project guidelines or protocols? As a project manager, it is important to ensure that all team members are following project guidelines and protocols to ensure the successful completion of the project. When a team member is not following these guidelines, it can cause delays, mistakes, and miscommunication. Here are two examples of how I would handle team members who are not following proper guidelines or protocols. Example number one. A team member is not submitting their work in time. Here are some of the options and strategies that one can use to tackle this. Number one, identify the problem. I would first identify the specific problem and determine why the team member is not submitting their work on time. This could be due to a lack of understanding of the project requirements, a lack of proper training or resources, or personal issues. Number two, communicate with the team member. Once the problem has been identified, I would then communicate with the team member to discuss the issue. During this conversation, I would ask the team member for their perspective on the situation and provide guidance on how to meet project requirements. Number three, set clear expectations. I would then set clear expectations for the team member's performance and establish a plan of action to ensure that the team member is meeting project requirements. This could include deadlines for work submission, providing additional training or resources, or re-evaluating the team members' workload to ensure they are able to meet the project requirements. Number 4, monitor progress. Finally, I would monitor the team members' progress to ensure they are meeting project requirements and following guidelines. If the team member is not meeting expectations, I would take appropriate action to address the issue. Example 2. A team member is not following protocols for communicating project updates. Number 1. Identify the problem. I would first identify the specific problem and determine why the team member is not following protocols for communicating project updates. This could be due to a lack of understanding of the project requirements, a lack of proper training or resources, or personal issues. Number 2, communicate with the team. Once the problem has been identified, I would then communicate with the team member to discuss the issue. During this conversation, I would ask the team member for their perspective on the situation and provide guidance on how to meet project requirements. Number 3, set clear expectations. I would then set clear expectations for the team members' communication and establish a plan of action to ensure that the team member is following protocols. This could include setting guidelines for when and how updates should be communicated, providing additional training or resources, or re-evaluating the team members' workload to ensure they are able to meet the project requirements. Number 4, monitor progress. Finally, I would monitor the team members' progress to ensure that they are following protocols for communicating project updates. If the team member is not meeting expectations, I would take appropriate action to address the issue. Overall, as a project manager, it is important to address any issues related to team members not following project guidelines or protocols in a timely and effective manner. This includes identifying the problem, communicating with the team member, setting clear expectations, and monitoring progress to ensure that the project is completed successfully. Question 58. How do you handle team members who are not meeting expectations or meeting deadlines? As a project manager, it is important to handle team members who are not meeting expectations or meeting deadlines in a professional and productive manner. One approach is to set clear expectations for performance and deadlines at the beginning of the project. This includes outlining specific responsibilities for each team member and agreeing on a system for tracking progress and addressing any issues that arise. When a team member is not meeting expectations or deadlines, the first step is to have a one on one conversation with them to understand the reasons behind the issue. It could be that they are facing unforeseen challenges or have a lack of resources. By understanding the underlying cause, you can work together to develop a plan to get back on track. For example, if a team member is consistently missing deadlines, you may need to adjust the project schedule or assign additional resources to help them meet their commitments. If a team member is struggling with a specific task, you may need to provide additional training or guidance. Another approach could be performance reviews, where the team member's performance against the expectations and their deadlines is discussed. It could also be a good idea to document the issues and track the improvements over time so you can have a clear understanding of how the situation has progressed. Another example, if a team member is not meeting expectations in terms of the quality of their work, you might schedule regular check ins to provide feedback and offer support as needed. You may also want to establish a system for quality assurance, such as peer reviews or code reviews. It's important to remember that the goal is to work with the team member to identify and address any issues, rather than placing blame or criticizing them. By taking a collaborative and supportive approach, you can help the team member improve their performance and contribute to the success of the project. Question number 59. How do you deal with pressure or stress in high stakes situation? As a project manager, I have learned that dealing with pressure or stress in high stakes situations requires a combination of effective planning, clear communication, and the ability to remain calm and composed under pressure. One way I deal with pressure is by ensuring that my team and I have a clear plan in place for the project. This includes identifying potential risks and developing a contingency plan to mitigate them. By doing this, we are able to anticipate and address any potential issues before they become major problems. In addition, I make sure to keep lines of communication open and clear with my team, stakeholders, and clients. This allows us to stay on the same page and address any concerns or issues as they arise. By being transparent and open, we are able to work together to find solutions to any challenges that may arise. Another way I deal with pressure is by remaining calm and composed under it. This means not panicking, not overreacting when something goes or a problem arises. Instead, I focus on staying calm and finding a solution. By remaining calm and composed, I'm able to lead my team in a calm and effective manner and make better decisions. For example, when I was managing a project for a major retail chain, we encountered a major issue with the delivery of a product from one of our suppliers. This had the potential to cause major delays and problems for the project. But by staying calm and composed, I was able to quickly assess the situation, identify potential solutions, and work with my team and the supplier to find an alternative solution that would not impact the project timeline. Another example, when I was managing a project for a software development company, the development team faced a major obstacle in the form of a new set of requirements that had not been taken into account during the planning phase. This could have led to major delays in the project. But I was able to keep my cool and work with the team to come up with a creative solution that addressed the new requirements while keeping the project on track. In conclusion, as a project manager, dealing with pressure or stress in high stakes situations requires effective planning, clear communication, and the ability to remain calm and composed under pressure. By having a clear plan in place, keeping lines of communication open and clear, and remaining calm and composed, we are able to anticipate and address any potential issues before they become major problems and work together to find solutions to any challenge that may arise. Question number 60 awaits us. How do you handle unexpected setbacks or failures in your projects? As a project manager, it is important to have a plan in place for handling unexpected setbacks or failures in projects. The first step is to assess the situation and determine the root cause of the issue. This could include identifying any external factors, such as changes in clients' needs or budget constraints, or internal factors such as miscommunication or lack of resources. Once the issue has been identified, it is important to communicate the situation clearly and transparently to all stakeholders. This includes the project team, stakeholders, and any impacted parties. It is important to be honest and realistic about the potential impact on the project timeline and budget, and to provide a clear plan for addressing the issue and moving forward. One example of an unexpected setback I've encountered was a change in client requirements mid project. The client decided they wanted to add several new features to the project, which would require additional resources and a significant amount of additional work. To handle this, I assessed the situation and identified the root cause as a change in client needs. I then communicated the situation to all stakeholders and provided a clear plan for addressing the issue by reevaluating the project scope, revising the project timeline, and identifying additional resources that would be needed. Through this process, we were able to ensure that the project stayed on track and met the client's new requirements. Another example of an unexpected setback was a delay in receiving necessary components for a construction project. This caused a delay in the project timeline and added additional costs. To handle this, I identified the root cause as a delay in receiving necessary components and communicated the situation to all stakeholders. I then provided a clear plan for addressing the issue by identifying alternative suppliers and creating a new project timeline that would allow the project to stay on track. Through this process, we were able to minimize the impact of the delay on the project and successfully complete it on time. Overall, it is important to stay calm and objective when handling unexpected setbacks or failures in projects. By identifying the root cause, communicating transparently with stakeholders, and providing a clear plan for addressing the issue, a project manager can effectively navigate these challenges and keep the project on track. Question number 61. How do you motivate and encourage your team to meet project deadlines and goals? Well, here's the answer. Motivating and encouraging a team to meet project deadlines and goals is a crucial aspect of being a successful project manager. The following are some strategies and techniques that can be used to motivate and encourage a team to meet project deadlines and goals. Number one, set clear and realistic goals. One of the most important things a project manager can do to motivate and encourage the team is to set clear and realistic goals for the project. This means communicating the project's objectives, milestones, and deliverables in a clear and straightforward manner. Having a clear understanding of what is expected can help team members stay focused and motivated. Number two, provide regular feedback. Another way to and encourage a team is to provide regular feedback on their performance. This can be done through informal conversations, team meetings, or formal performance evaluations. Feedback allows team members to see how their efforts are contributing to the overall success of the project, and it can help them identify areas where they need to improve. Number three, encourage collaboration and teamwork. Collaboration and teamwork are key factors in motivating and encouraging a team to meet project deadlines and goals. Encouraging team members to work together, share ideas, and support one another can help to build trust and a sense of shared ownership amongst team members. This can make it more likely that they will be motivated to work together to achieve project goals. Let us look at two examples. Example number one, a project manager working on a project to develop a new software application sets clear and realistic goals for the team. They provide regular feedback on progress and encourage team members to collaborate and share ideas. This led to the successful completion of the project within the set deadline. The second example, a project manager working on a construction project set clear and realistic goals for the team. They also provided regular feedback and encouraged team members to collaborate and support one another. This led to the successful completion of the project on time and within budget. Question number 62. How do you handle difficult or demanding clients or customers? As a project manager, handling difficult or demanding clients or customers is an inevitable part of the job. However, there are several strategies that can be implemented to effectively manage these situations. Number one, communicate effectively. Effective communication is key when dealing with difficult clients or customers. It is important to listen actively to their concerns, provide clear and concise responses, and keep them updated on the progress of the project. This helps to build trust and establish a positive relationship. For example, if a client is requesting constant updates, create a schedule for regular progress reports that the client can rely on. Number two, be empathetic. It is important to understand and empathize with the client's situation. They may have their own unique challenges and concerns. By being empathetic, you can better understand their perspective and come up with solutions that address their specific needs. For example, if a client is concerned about the timeline of the project, work with the team to come up with a revised timeline and address their concern while still meeting project goals. Number three, establish clear boundaries. It is important to establish clear boundaries with difficult clients or customers. This can be done by setting expectations, communicating the scope of the project, and outlining the responsibilities of both parties. This helps to prevent misunderstandings and ensures that the project stays on track. For example, if a client is making unreasonable demands, communicate that these requests fall outside of the scope of the project and cannot be accommodated. Number four, use a problem solving approach. If a difficult situation arises, use a problem solving approach to resolve the issue. This involves identifying the problem, brainstorming potential solutions, and implementing the best solution. By using this approach, you can address the issue at hand and prevent it from happening again in the future. For example, if a client is dissatisfied with the quality of work, work with the team to identify the problem, come up with potential solutions, and implement a plan to improve the quality of the work. In conclusion, handling difficult clients or customers requires understanding and effective communication. By implementing the strategies outlined above, project managers can effectively manage difficult situations and keep the track on project. Here's question number 63. How do you handle difficult or challenging team members? As a project manager, it is important to have the ability to effectively manage difficult or challenging team members. These individuals can have a significant impact on the success of the project, and it is essential to handle them in a professional and effective manner. The first step in handling difficult team members is to identify the root cause of their behavior. This could be due to a lack of communication, unclear expectations, or personal issues. Once the cause is identified, it is important to address the issue directly with the team member. This can be done through open and honest communication, setting clear expectations, and providing support and guidance as needed. One example of how I have handled a difficult team member is by addressing a lack of communication. One team member had been consistently missing important meetings and was not completing their assigned tasks on time. After a discussion with the team member, it was discovered that they were not aware of the importance of the meetings and were not clear on their assigned tasks. I provided clear communication about the importance of the meetings and set specific expectations for the tasks. I also set up regular check ins to ensure that they were on track and to provide support as needed. Another example of handling a difficult team member is by addressing personal issues. One team member had been consistently displaying negative behavior and was not collaborating well with the rest of the team. After a private discussion, it was discovered that the team member was going through some personal issues outside of work. I provided the team member with resources and support to help them cope with their personal issues. I also set up regular check ins to ensure that they were getting the support they needed and to provide support as needed. In conclusion, handling difficult team members can be challenging, but it is essential to the success of the project. By identifying the root cause of their behavior, addressing it directly, and providing support and guidance, it is possible to improve the individual's behavior and ensure that the project is completed on time and within budget. Let's now look at question number 64. How do you handle personal or professional setbacks or challenges that impact your work? As a project manager, it is important to have a plan in place to handle personal or professional setbacks or challenges that may impact your work. The first step is to take a step back and assess the situation. Determine the cause of the setback or challenge and the potential impact it may have on the project. Once the situation has been assessed, it is important to develop a plan to address the problem and minimize the impact on the project. One example of a personal setback that I have faced in my career as a project manager was a family emergency that required my immediate attention. In this situation, I immediately informed my team and stakeholders of the situation and worked with them to develop a plan to minimize the impact on the project. I also identified key tasks that needed to be completed in my absence and delegated them to other team members. This allowed the project to continue to progress even though I was not able to be present on site. Another example of a professional setback that I faced was a key team member quitting unexpectedly. In this situation, I quickly assessed the impact on the project and developed a plan to address the loss of the team member. I worked with the remaining team members to redistribute tasks and responsibilities and identified potential replacements for the missing team member. I also communicated with stakeholders to keep them informed of the situation and assure them that the project would not be impacted by the loss of the team member. In both of these examples, I found that clear and effective communication, a flexible approach, and the ability to think on my feet were key to successfully navigating these setbacks and challenges. By approaching these setbacks with a positive attitude and a plan in place, I was able to minimize the impact on the project and move forward with minimal disruption. Question number 65. How do you handle difficult or sensitive conversations with team members or stakeholders? As a project manager, it is important to be able to handle difficult or sensitive conversations with team members or stakeholders in a professional and effective manner. These type of conversations can often be uncomfortable, but they're necessary part of managing a project and ensuring that the project is completed successfully. One way to handle difficult or sensitive conversations is to be prepared. Before having the conversation, gather all relevant information and think through what you want to say. This will help you to stay on track and make sure that you're addressing the key issues. Another important aspect of handling difficult or sensitive conversations is to be respectful. It is important to listen actively to what the other person is saying and to show empathy and understanding. This will help to create a more positive atmosphere and will make it more likely that the conversation will result in a successful outcome. Let's look at two examples. Example number one, let's say that a team member is consistently not meeting their deadlines and it's impacting the overall project timeline. I would schedule a one on one meeting with the team member to discuss their performance. During the meeting, I would express my concern about the missed deadlines and how it is affecting the project. I would also ask them for their perspective on what may be causing the delays and if there are any barriers or challenges that they're facing. By doing this, I am showing respect and empathy while also addressing the concern and working towards finding a solution. Example number two, if a stakeholder is unhappy with the progress of the project and is threatening to withdraw funding, I would schedule a meeting to address their concerns. I would prepare by reviewing the project progress and identifying any areas that may be causing their dissatisfaction. During the meeting, I would present this information and demonstrate that we have a plan to address the issues. I would also be prepared to discuss potential solutions and a plan to mitigate any further issues. By doing this, I am being proactive in addressing the concern and showing that I am committed to finding a solution that will work for both the project and the stakeholder. Overall, handling difficult or sensitive conversations requires effective communication, active listening, and an ability to navigate challenging situations. By being prepared and respectful, project managers can successfully handle difficult or sensitive conversations and maintain positive relationships with team members and stakeholders. Question number 66. How do you handle difficult or challenging feedback or criticism from stakeholders? Let's look at the answer. As a project manager, it is important to have a clear approach for handling difficult or challenging feedback or criticism from stakeholders. This includes understanding the source of the feedback, assessing its validity, and taking appropriate actions to address any concerns. One approach to handling difficult feedback is to first understand the source of the feedback. Is it coming from a key stakeholder? such as a project sponsor or a team member? Or is it coming from an external source, such as a customer or regulator? Understanding the source of the feedback can help to determine its level of importance and how to best respond to it. Once the source of the feedback is understood, it is important to assess its validity. Is the feedback based on facts or perceptions? Are there specific issues that need to be addressed, or is it more of a general complaint? Assessing the validity of the feedback can help to determine the appropriate actions to take. For example, if the feedback is coming from a key and is based on facts, it is important to take immediate action to address the issue. This could involve bringing in additional resources or modifying the project plan to address the specific concern. In contrast, if the feedback is more general in nature and based on perceptions, it may be more appropriate to address it through communication and stakeholder engagement activities. Another approach to handling difficult feedback is to respond in a timely and professional manner. This includes acknowledging the receipt of the feedback, providing a clear explanation of any actions that will be taken to address the issue, and following up with the stakeholder to ensure that the issue has been resolved to their satisfaction. For example, if a customer provides feedback that the product delivered is not meeting the expectations, it is important to respond in a timely and professional manner. This could involve acknowledging receipt feedback, providing a clear explanations of any actions that will be taken to address the issue, such as additional testing or redesigning the product, and following up with the customer to ensure that the issue has been resolved to their satisfaction. In conclusion, as a project manager, it is important to have a clear approach for handling difficult or challenging feedback or criticism from stakeholders. This includes understanding the source of the feedback, assessing its validity, and taking appropriate actions to address any concerns. Additionally, responding in a timely and professional manner is crucial in addressing the issues and maintaining positive relationships with stakeholders. Question number 67. How do you handle conflicts or disputes with clients or customers? As a project manager, it is important to have a clear and effective approach for handling conflicts or disputes with clients or customers. My approach typically involves the following steps. Number one, listen and understand the issue. The first step in resolving any conflict or dispute is to listen and understand the concerns of the client or customer. This means actively listening to their perspective, asking questions to clarify any misunderstandings, and being empathetic. Number two, identify the root cause. Once I have a clear understanding of the issue, I then work to identify the root cause of the conflict or dispute. This may involve reviewing project documents, speaking with team members, or conducting additional research to gather more information. Number three, communicate and negotiate. Once the root cause of the conflict or dispute has been identified, I then communicate and negotiate with the client or customer to come to a resolution. This may involve proposing a solution, discussing potential compromises, or working together to find a mutually benefit outcome. Number four, document and follow up. Finally, I document the resolution of the conflict or dispute, including any agreements or actions that were taken to resolve the issue. I also follow up with the client or customer to ensure that the resolution is being implemented and that the issue has been fully resolved. Let's look at two examples then. Example number one. One example of a conflict that I had to handle as a project manager was during an IT project for a financial service company. The client was concerned about the project being delayed and the potential impact on their business. After listening to their concerns, I identified the root cause of the delay as a lack of resources on the team. I communicated this to the client and proposed increasing the team size to ensure that the project would be completed on time. The client agreed, and we were able to successfully complete the project on schedule. Example number two. Another example of a dispute that I had to handle was during a website development project for a retail company. The client was unhappy with the design of the website, claiming that it did not match their brand. After understanding their concerns, I identified the root cause of the dispute as a lack of clear communication during the design phase. I communicated this to the client and proposed redesigning the website to better align with their brand. The client agreed, and we were able to successfully redesign the website to their satisfaction. We are now at question number 68. How do you handle difficult or challenging projects or tasks that are outside of your comfort zone? As a project manager, I approach difficult or challenging projects or tasks by first identifying the specific areas that are outside of my comfort. Once identified, I take the following steps. Step number one, research and gather information. I research best practices and gather information from experts in the field to gain a better understanding of the task at hand. This helps me to develop a plan of action and identify any potential roadblocks. Number two, build a strong team. I make sure to assemble a team with a diverse set of skills and expertise to help me navigate the challenges of the project. By leveraging the strengths of my team members, I can ensure that we have the resources and knowledge needed to successfully complete the project. Number three, communicate effectively. I make sure to clearly communicate the goals and expectations of the project to my team and stakeholders. This helps to ensure that everyone is on the same page and working towards a common goal. Number four, be flexible. I understand that projects can change and evolve, and I'm prepared to adapt my plan as needed. I'm comfortable with change and am able to pivot when necessary to ensure that we are still on track to meet our goals. Two examples await us now. Example number one, I once managed an IT project to implement a new enterprise resource planning or ERP system for a large manufacturing company. This was a challenging project as it required coordination with multiple departments and stakeholders, and it was outside of my comfort zone as I had limited experience with ERP systems. To tackle this project, I researched best practices for ERP implementation, built a strong team with expertise in ERP systems, clearly communicated the goals and expectations of the project to all stakeholders, and was flexible in adapting my plan as needed throughout the project. Ultimately, we were able to successfully implement the ERP system on time and within budget. Question number 69. How do you handle difficult or complex problems that arise in your projects? As a project manager, it is essential to have a systematic approach when dealing with difficult or complex problems that arise in my projects. The first step I take is to clearly define the problem and gather all necessary information to understand the issue fully. This includes identifying the root cause of the problem and assessing its impact on the project. Once the problem has been defined, I then develop a plan of action to address it. This includes identifying potential solutions and assessing the feasibility. I also involve the relevant stakeholders and team members in this process to ensure that all perspectives are taken into account. In terms of specific examples, I have dealt with two complex problems in IT projects in the past. The first was a software development project that was experiencing significant delays due to a lack of clear requirements and poor communication between the development team and the client. To address this problem, I set up regular meetings between the development team and the client to ensure that all requirements were clearly and understood. I also implemented a new project management tool that improved the overall communication and collaboration between team members. As a result, the project was completed on time and was a huge success. Another example was a data migration project that was experiencing issues due to a lack of data governance. The data was not properly formatted, and was causing delays in the migration process. To address this problem, I implemented a data governance framework that ensured that all data was properly formatted and validated before it was migrated. I also worked closely with the data team to ensure that they had necessary skills and resources to carry out the migration. As a result, the migration was completely successful and it was on time. In conclusion, as a project manager, I approach difficult and complex problems by clearly defining the problem, gathering information, developing a plan of action, involving relevant stakeholders and team members, and implementing effective solutions. By utilizing these strategies, I have been able to successfully address complex problems and deliver successful IT projects. Question number 70. How do you handle difficult or sensitive situations with discretion and professionalism? As a project manager, handling difficult or sensitive situations with discretion and professionalism is a crucial aspect of my role. In order to do this, I utilize a few key strategies. First, I always strive to remain calm and composed in any situation. This helps me to think clearly and make rational decisions rather than reacting emotionally. I also make sure to listen actively to all parties involved and to fully understand their perspectives and concerns. This allows me to address their concerns in a respectful and empathetic manner. Another key strategy is to communicate clearly and transparently with all stakeholders. This includes keeping everyone informed of the progress and any potential issues, as well as actively seeking input and feedback. By fostering open communication, I am able to build trust and credibility with all stakeholders, which helps to create a positive and productive working environment. In addition to these strategies, I also rely on my experience and knowledge of IT projects to help me handle difficult or sensitive situations. To illustrate, I will provide two examples from past projects. Example number one. On a large scale IT implementation project, one of the key stakeholders expressed concerns about the project's timeline and budget. They felt that the project was taking too long and that costs were rising. In order to address these concerns, I worked closely with the project team to review the project plan and identify areas where we could improve efficiently and reduce costs. I also provided regular updates to the stakeholder and sought their input on the changes we were making. Through this process, we were able to address the stakeholders' concerns and maintain their support for the project. Example number two. On another IT project, a team member was to have violated company policies by sharing confidential information with an outside party. This was a highly sensitive situation that required immediate action. I worked with HR and legal to investigate the situation and determine the appropriate course of action. I also communicated with the team and other stakeholders to ensure that they were aware of the situation and that appropriate measures were in place to protect the company's confidential information. Through my handling of this situation, I was able to maintain the company's reputation and ensure that the team and other stakeholders felt safe and supported. In conclusion, handling difficult or sensitive situations with discretion and professionalism is a crucial aspect of my role as a project manager. By remaining calm and composed, listening actively, communicating and utilizing my experience and knowledge, I'm able to address concerns and maintain the support of stakeholders. Friends, we have covered 70 questions in the video so far. I hope that the video is beneficial to you and in your journey as a project manager. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to never miss an upload. Question number 71. How do you handle difficult or challenging conversations with team members or stakeholders? As a project manager, It is important to approach difficult or challenging conversations with a level of professionalism and objectivity. This means that when addressing a difficult topic, it is important to stick to the facts and avoid making personal attacks or accusations. First, it is important to prepare for the conversation by gathering all relevant information and data. This will allow you to present your case in a logical and organized manner. Additionally, it is important to consider the other person's perspective and try to understand their point of view. One example of a difficult conversation I had to have as a project manager was when a team member was consistently missing deadlines. I scheduled a one on one meeting with this team member to discuss the issue and presented data on their performance, including specific examples of missed deadlines and their impact on the project. I also asked for their perspective and any potential reasons for the missed deadlines. By approaching the conversation in a neutral and solution focused manner, we were able to identify the root cause of the issue and develop a plan for improvement. Another example of a challenging conversation I had was with a stakeholder who was unhappy with the progress of a project. In this case, I scheduled a meeting with the stakeholder to discuss their concerns and presented data on the project's progress, including any delays or obstacles that have been encountered. I also presented a plan for addressing the concerns and ensuring that the project was back on track. By being transparent and proactive in addressing the stakeholders' concerns, I was able to effectively manage their expectations and regain their trust in the project. In conclusion, handling difficult or challenging conversations as a project manager requires a level of professionalism and objectivity. It is important to prepare by gathering all relevant information and data, considering the other person's perspective, and approaching the conversation in a neutral and solution focused manner. So, by following these steps, I was able to effectively communicate with my team member and stakeholders and resolve any issues that arose throughout my ID projects. We are now at question number 72. How do you handle difficult or sensitive conversations with clients or customers? Here's the answer to it. As a project manager, it is important to have effective communication skills to handle difficult or sensitive conversations with clients or customers. Here are two examples of how I have handled such situations in IT projects. Example number one. A client had concerns about the budget for a project that was already underway. The client felt that the project was going over budget and was not sure if they wanted to continue with the project. To handle this situation, I scheduled a meeting with the client to discuss their concerns. During the meeting, I explained the technical issues that had caused the delay and provided them with a detailed timeline for when the project would be completed. I also provided them with regular updates on the progress of the project, keep them informed, and to demonstrate that we were working diligently to resolve the issues. Through regular communication and transparency, I was able to alleviate the customer's concerns and build trust with them. In both of these examples, it was important to handle the situation with sensitivity and to provide clear and honest communication. By actively listening to the clients' or customers' concerns and providing them with detailed explanations and solutions, I was able to address their concerns and maintain a positive working relationship. As a project manager, it is essential to have a strong communication skill set to handle difficult or sensitive conversations with clients or customers in a professional and effective manner. starting fires just to watch your love. Question number 73 is here. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations with tact and diplomacy? As a project manager, dealing with difficult or challenging situations is a part of my daily routine. In order to handle these situations with tact and diplomacy, I follow a few key strategies. Number one, remain calm and composed. The first step in handling a difficult situation is to remain calm and composed. Losing my temper or getting emotional can only escalate the situation and make it worse. Number two, listen actively. I make sure to listen actively to all parties involved in the situation, including the person causing the problem. This allows me to understand their perspective and concerns, which is crucial in finding a solution. Number three, communicate clearly and respectfully. I always communicate clearly and respectfully with all parties involved. This helps to avoid any misunderstanding and ensures that everyone feels heard and understood. Number four, seek common ground. I try to find common ground with the parties involved and finding a solution that will benefit all parties. This helps to build a positive and collaborative working relationship. Number five, escalate to a higher authority if necessary. If the situation cannot be resolved through my own efforts, I will escalate the situation to a higher authority, such as my supervisor or a company executive for further resolution. Let's look at two examples now. Example number one. In an IT project I was managing, one of the team members was consistently missing deadlines and causing delays in the project. This was causing frustration and tension amongst the other team members and putting the project at risk. To handle the situation, I first scheduled a one on one meeting with the team member to understand their perspective and concerns. It turned out that they were struggling with personal issues that were impacting their work. Actively listened to their concerns and provided them with the necessary support, such as additional time off and flexible working hours. I also communicated with the rest of the team to explain the situation and ensure that they understood the reasons for the delays. I sought common ground by finding a solution that would benefit both the team member and the project, such as reassigning certain tasks to other team members. Example number two. In another IT project, a client was consistently requesting changes to the project scope, and scope creep was becoming a major issue. This was causing delays and increasing the project's budget. To handle this situation, I first scheduled a meeting with the client to understand their perspective and concerns. I listened actively and explained the impact of the scope changes on the project's timeline and budget. I sought common ground by finding a solution that would benefit both the client and the project, such as implementing a change control process to manage scope changes more effectively. I also communicated with my team to ensure that they understood the situation and the impact of the scope changes on their workload. I sought common ground by finding a solution that would benefit both the client and the project, such as implementing a change control process to manage scope changes more effectively. Overall, handling difficult or challenging situations, tact and diplomacy requires active listening, clear communication, and a willingness to find common ground. By following these strategies, I'm able to resolve conflicts and maintain positive working relationships with all parties involved. Here's question number 74. How do you handle difficult or challenging feedback or criticism from team members or stakeholders? As a project manager, it is important to approach difficult or challenging feedback or criticism from team members or stakeholders in a professional and constructive manner. The first step in handling this type of feedback is to actively listen to the person providing the feedback and try to understand their perspective. It is also important to remain calm and composed. even if the feedback is negative or difficult to hear. One example of how I have handled difficult feedback in the past was during an IT project, where a team member was consistently missing deadlines and not meeting project requirements. The team member had been struggling with personal issues, but it was still impacting the project. I scheduled a one on one meeting with the team member to discuss their performance and how it was affecting the project. During the meeting, I listened to the team members' concerns and acknowledged that they were going through a difficult time. I also provided them with the support they needed to get back on track, including additional training and resources. The team member was able to improve their performance and the project was completed on time. Another example was during an IT project where a stakeholder had expressed concerns about the project's budget. The stakeholder had requested additional features and changes exceed the project's budget. I had scheduled a meeting with the stakeholder to discuss their concerns and to review the project's budget. During the meeting, I provided the stakeholder with a detailed breakdown of the project's budget and how the additional features and changes would impact the budget. I also provided them with alternative solutions that would still meet their needs, but within the project's budget. The stakeholder was able to understand the constraints of the project's budget, and we were able to find a solution that met both the project's need and the stakeholder's needs. Both of these examples, I approached the feedback in a professional and constructive manner, actively listened to the person providing the feedback, and provided them with solutions that met their needs while still meeting the project's needs. By handling difficult feedback in this manner, I was able to address the issues and keep the project on track. Question number 75. How do you handle difficult or challenging team members or stakeholders who are resistant to change? Here's how you answer this. As a project manager, dealing with difficult team members or stakeholders who are resistant to change can be a challenging task. However, it is important to approach the situation with a calm and professional demeanor. Below are two examples of how I have handled difficult team members or stakeholders in the past. Example number one. In an IT project I managed, we were implementing a new software system that would replace the existing one. One of the team members was very resistant to the change, as they were comfortable with the old system and did not see the need for a new one. I scheduled a one on one meeting with the team member and asked them to share their concerns and reservations. I listened to their feedback and addressed their concerns by providing them a detailed explanation of the benefits and improvements that the new system would bring. I also provided them with training and support to help them adapt to the new system. This approach helped to build trust and understanding between us, and the new team member eventually became a strong advocate for the system. Example number two. In another IT project, we were introducing a new process that would change the way stakeholders worked. One of the stakeholders was very resistant to the change and was not willing to cooperate. I scheduled a meeting with the stakeholder and asked them to share their concerns and reservations. I listened to their feedback and addressed their concerns by providing them a detailed explanation of the benefits and improvements that the new process would bring. I also provided them with training and support to help them adapt to the new process. This approach helped to build trust and understanding between us, and the stakeholder eventually became a strong advocate for the new process. In conclusion, as a project manager, it is important to approach difficult team members or stakeholders with open communication and a willingness to listen to their concerns. By addressing their concerns and providing them with training and support, we can build trust and understanding and ultimately gain their buy in for the change. We are now at question number 76. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be assertive or confrontational? Here's the answer to it. As a project manager, I understand that difficult or challenging situations may arise that require me to be assertive or confrontational in order to ensure the success of the project. In these situations, my approach is to remain calm, professional, and focused on finding a solution that benefits all parties involved. One example of a difficult situation that required me to be assertive occurred during an IT project I managed for a large retail company. The project team was developing a new e commerce platform, and we were running behind schedule due to delays in receiving certain components from one of our vendors. Despite multiple attempts to communicate the urgency of the situation and request expedited delivery, the vendor continued to miss deadlines. In this situation, I knew that it was important to be assertive in order to keep the project on track. I scheduled a meeting with the vendor and their team, where I clarified the outlines and the delays impact on the project schedule. I also provided a detailed plan for how we could work together to make up for the lost time. Through my assertive communication and willingness to work together, we were able to get the components we needed and complete the project on time. Another example occurred during an IT project for a financial services company. One of the developers on my team had consistently been submitting low quality work, causing delays and errors in the project. Despite multiple attempts to provide feedback and coaching, the developer's performance did not improve. In this situation, I knew that it was important to be confrontational in order to address the issue and ensure the success of the project. I scheduled a meeting with the developer and their supervisor, where I clarified the outlines and the issues with the developer's work and the impact on it. I also provided specific examples and suggestions for how the developer could improve their performance. Through my confrontational approach, the developer was able to improve their work and the project was completed successfully. In both examples, my approach was to remain calm, professional, and focused on finding a solution that benefits all parties involved. Additionally, I ensured that my communication was clear, direct, and respectful, and that I provided specific examples and suggestions for how to address the situation. Through through this approach, I was able to effectively handle difficult or challenging situations and ensure the success of the project. Question number 77. How do you handle difficult or challenging conversations or negotiations with clients or customers? As a project manager, it is important to have a strategic approach to handling difficult or challenging conversations or negotiations with clients or customers. The first step is to understand the underlying issue and concerns of the client or customer and to approach the conversation with empathy and a willingness to listen. One example of a difficult conversation that I had to handle was with a client who was concerned about the progress of an project. They were unhappy with the timeline and felt that the project was taking too long to complete. In order to address their concerns, I scheduled a meeting with the client to discuss the project in detail. During the meeting, I listened actively to their concerns and provided them with a detailed update on the project's progress. I also provided them with a revised timeline and a plan for addressing any delays. Through active listening and clear communication, I was able to effectively address the client's concerns and provide them with the information they needed to feel more confident in the project's progress. Another example of a challenging negotiation I had to handle was with a customer who was requesting changes to the scope of an IT project. They wanted to add additional features and functionality to the project, but the changes would have required additional resources and a longer timeline. In order to address the customer's request, I met with the project team to evaluate the feasibility of the changes and to determine the impact on the project's timeline and budget. I then scheduled a meeting with the customer to discuss the proposed changes and to provide them with a detailed estimate of the additional costs and timeline. Communication and a willingness to collaborate. We were able to reach a mutually beneficial agreement that satisfied the customer's needs while still maintaining the project scope and timeline. In conclusion, handling difficult or challenging conversations or negotiations with clients or customers as a project manager requires active listening, clear communication, and a willingness to collaborate. By understanding the underlying issues and concerns of the clients or customer and approaching the conversation with empathy, it is possible to effectively address their concerns and find mutually beneficial solutions. Question number 78. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to make difficult decisions? As a project manager, I approach difficult or challenging situations with a structured and logical approach. My first step is to gather as much information as possible about the situation, including all relevant facts and data, as well as the opinions and perspectives of all stakeholders involved. Once I have a clear understanding of the situation, I use critical thinking and problem solving skills to identify potential solutions and evaluate the pros and cons of each option. I also consider any potential risks and take steps to mitigate them. I then involve the project team and other stakeholders in a collaborative decision making process to ensure that all perspectives are considered and that the final decision is one that everyone is committed to executing. Let's look at two examples. Example number one: a key team member suddenly leaves the project. In this situation, I immediately gather all relevant information about the team member's departure and assess the impact it will have on the. I communicate with the remaining team members and stakeholders to understand their concerns and gather their ideas for how to move forward. After evaluating all options, I decide to bring in a temporary replacement team to fill the role until a permanent replacement can be found. I also review the project plan and timelines to identify any areas that may be impacted by the team member's departure and work with the team to make any necessary adjustments. Example number two: a critical system component is found to have a security vulnerability. In this situation, I immediately gather all relevant information about the vulnerability and assess the potential impact it could have on the project. I communicate with all stakeholders, including the client, to understand their concerns and gather their ideas for how to move forward. After evaluating all options, I decide to bring in a third party security expert to assess the vulnerability and provide recommendations for how to address it. I also work with the team to implement any necessary changes to the system and schedule additional testing and validation to ensure that the vulnerability has been fully resolved. Overall, my approach to handling difficult or challenging situations is to remain calm and focused, gather all information, involve all stakeholders in the decision making process, and take swift action to address the situation and minimize any potential negative impact on the project. Question number 79 awaits us. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be flexible or adaptable? As a project manager, handling difficult or challenging situations that require flexibility and adaptability is an essential part of my role. I approach these situations by utilizing a combination of problem solving skills, effective communication, and a willingness to adapt my approach as necessary. One example of a challenging situation that required flexibility and adaptability was during an IT project where we were implementing a new software system for the client. During the testing phase, we discovered that the system was not compatible with the client's existing hardware, causing delays and additional costs. Instead of getting bogged down by the problem, I worked closely with the development team to identify a solution that would allow the system to work with the existing hardware. This required me to be adaptable and think creatively to find a solution that would work for the client. Another example of a challenging situation that required flexibility and adaptability was during an IT project where we were implementing a new network infrastructure for a client. During the deployment phase, we discovered that the client's existing network structure was not suitable for the new system, causing delays and additional costs. I had to be flexible and adaptable to find a solution that would work for the client. I worked closely with the client to identify the best approach to implement the new network infrastructure, including the use of additional hardware and software to make the new system compatible with the client's existing network infrastructure. In both of these examples, my ability to be flexible and adaptable helped to minimize delays and costs and ensured that the project was completed successfully for the client. I always strive to maintain a positive attitude, stay calm and focused, and communicate effectively with all stakeholders to ensure that any challenges that arise during a project can be addressed in a timely and effective manner. Question number 80. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be decisive and assertive? As a project manager, dealing with difficult or challenging situations that require decisive or assertive actions is an integral part of my role. I have developed several strategies to handle such situations effectively. First, I always try to gather as much information as possible before making a decision. This includes consulting with team members, stakeholders, and subject matter experts to get a complete picture of the situation. By doing this, I'm able to make informed decisions that are based on facts and data rather than assumptions or emotions. Second, I'm not afraid to take a leadership role in difficult situations. I'm able to assert my authority and make difficult decisions while also being respectful and empathetic to the concerns and needs of my team members and stakeholders. This helps to build trust and respect, which is crucial in maintaining a positive and productive team environment. To give an example, on one IT project I managed, we encountered a major technical issue that was causing delays in the project schedule. After gathering information from a technical team and subject matter experts, I made a decision to bring in an outside consultant to help resolve the issue. This was a difficult decision as it required additional resources and costs, but it ultimately allowed us to resolve the issue quickly and get the project back on track. Another example is when on another IT project, I had a team member who was not meeting the deliverables and was causing delays in the project schedule. I scheduled a meeting with the team member to discuss their performance and provided them with specific feedback on their shortcomings. I also provided them with a clear action plan and set deadlines for improvement. By being assertive and taking a leadership role in addressing this issue, I was able to get the team member back on track and maintain the project schedule. Overall, as a project manager, I understand that difficult and challenging situations will inevitably arise. However, by gathering information, taking a leadership role, and being assertive, I'm able to make difficult decisions and maintain project progress and success. Let's look at question number 81. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be assertive or confrontational? As a project manager, it is important to have a strong communication and leadership skills in order to effectively handle difficult or challenging situations that require assertiveness or confrontation. In my experience, there are a few key strategies that have proven to be effective in these type of situations. Number 1, first and foremost, it is important to be clear and direct in your communication. When addressing a difficult issue, it is essential to be clear and specific about the problem and your desired outcome. This helps to ensure that all parties involved are on the same page and understand the situation at hand. Additionally, it is important to remain calm and composed, even in the face of tension or opposition. This helps to demonstrate your ability to remain level headed in difficult situations and can help to diffuse any potential conflicts. Another key strategy is to use active listening and empathy. By actively listening to the concerns and perspectives of all parties involved, you can better understand the underlying issues and develop a solution that addresses the needs of everyone involved. Additionally, by showing empathy and understanding, you can help to build trust and rapport with team members, which can be essential in resolving conflicts. To illustrate my approach, I will provide two examples from IT projects I've managed in the past. Example number one. One of the projects I managed involved a major software upgrade for a client. During the testing phase, we discovered that the new software was not compatible with some of the client's existing systems. This was a major issue, as it meant that the client would not be able to use the new software until the compatibility issues were resolved. In this situation, I took a direct and assertive approach. I immediately contacted the client and explained the issue and provided them with a clear plan for resolving the compatibility issues. I also provided a detailed timeline and cost estimate for the additional work that would be required. Additionally, I actively listened to the client's concerns and addressed them in the plan. By being clear, direct, and empathetic, we were able to resolve the compatibility issues and move forward with the project. Example number two. Another project I managed involved a team of developers working on a new web application. During the development phase, we encountered a number of delays and issues that were impacting the project's progress. This was causing a tension amongst the team members, and there were concerns that the project would not be completed on time. In this situation, I took a confrontational approach. I called a team meeting to address the issues and to discuss the problems that were causing the delays. I also provided a clear and specific plan for how we would move forward and assigned specific tasks and responsibilities to each team member. Additionally, I actively listened to the team members' concerns and addressed them in the plan. By being assertive and direct, we were able to address the issues and get the project back on track. Overall, my approach to handling difficult or challenging situations that require assertiveness or confrontation is to be clear and direct in communication, use active listening and empathy, and provide a clear plan of action. By taking these steps, I'm able to effectively manage conflicts, resolve issues, and keep projects moving forward. Question number 82. How do you handle difficult or challenging conversations or negotiations with clients or customers? As a project manager, it is important to have a strategic approach to handling difficult or challenging conversations or negotiations with clients or customers. The first step is to understand the underlying issue and concerns of the client or customer and to approach the conversation with empathy and a willingness to listen. One example of a difficult conversation that I had to handle was with a client who was concerned about the progress of an IT project. They were unhappy with the timeline and felt that the project was taking too long to complete. In order to address their concerns, I scheduled a meeting with the client to discuss the project in detail. During the meeting, I listened actively to their concerns and provided them with a detailed update on the project's progress. I also provided them with a revised timeline and a plan for addressing any delays. Through active listening and clear communication, I was able to effectively address the client's concerns and provide them with the information they needed to feel more confident in the project's progress. An example of a challenging negotiation I had to handle was with a customer who was requesting changes to the scope of an IT project. They wanted to add additional features and functionality to the project, but the changes would have required additional resources and a longer timeline. In order to address the customer's request, I met with the project team to evaluate the feasibility of the changes and to determine the impact on the project's timeline and budget. I then scheduled a meeting with the customer to discuss the proposed changes and to provide them with a detailed estimate of the additional costs and timeline. Through clear communication and a willingness to collaborate, we were able to reach a mutually beneficial agreement that satisfied the customer's needs while still maintaining the project scope and timeline. In conclusion, handling difficult or challenging conversations or negotiations with clients or customers as a project manager requires active listening, clear communication, and a willingness to collaborate. By understanding the underlying issues and concerns of the clients or customer and approaching the conversation with empathy, it is possible to effectively address their concerns and find mutually beneficial solutions. Question number 83. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to make difficult decisions? As a project manager, I approach difficult or challenging situations with a structured and logical approach. My first step is to gather as much information as possible about the situation, including all relevant facts and data, as well as the opinions and perspectives of all stakeholders involved. Once I have a clear understanding of the situation, I use critical thinking and problem solving skills to identify potential solutions and evaluate the pros and cons of each option. I also consider any potential risks and take steps to mitigate them. I then involve the project team and other stakeholders in a collaborative decision making process to ensure that all perspectives are considered and that the final decision is one that everyone is committed to executing. Let's look at two examples. Example number one: a key team member suddenly leaves the project. In this situation, I immediately gather all relevant information about the team member's departure and assess the impact it will have. I communicate with the remaining team members and stakeholders to understand their concerns and gather their ideas for how to move forward. After evaluating all options, I decide to bring in a temporary replacement team to fill the role until a permanent replacement can be found. I also review the project plan and timelines to identify any areas that may be impacted by the team member's departure and work with the team to make any necessary adjustments. Example number two: a critical system component is found to have a security vulnerability. In this situation, I immediately gather all relevant information about the vulnerability and assess the potential impact it could have on the project. I communicate with all stakeholders, including the client, to understand their concerns and gather their ideas for how to move forward. After evaluating all options, I decide to bring in a third party security expert to assess the vulnerability and provide recommendations for how to address it. I also work with the team to implement any necessary changes to the system and schedule additional testing and validation to ensure that the vulnerability has been fully resolved. Overall, my approach to handling difficult or challenging situations is to remain calm and focused, gather all information, involve all stakeholders in the decision making process, and take swift action to address the situation and minimize any potential negative impact on the project. Question number 84. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be flexible or adaptable? As a project manager, handling difficult or challenging situations that require flexibility and adaptability is a common occurrence. In order to effectively navigate these situations, I have developed a few key strategies that have proven to be successful. First, I make sure to stay calm and level headed. When faced with a difficult situation, it can be easy to become overwhelmed and react emotionally. However, this can lead to poor decision making and further complications. By remaining calm and taking a step back to assess the situation, I'm able to approach the problem with a clear and logical mindset. Second, I gather information and input from all relevant parties. This includes team members, stakeholders, and any external partners or vendors involved in the project. By gaining a comprehensive understanding of the situation, I'm able to identify potential solutions and make informed decisions. To give an example, one IT project I managed involved a significant delay in the delivery of a crucial component from one of our vendors. This delay put the entire project at risk and required me to be flexible and adaptable in order to remain on track for the project. I gathered information from the vendor on the reasons for the delay and the unexpected resolution timeline. I also gathered input from my team on potential workarounds and alternative solutions. Through this process, we were able to identify a viable plan of action that minimized the impact of the delay on the project. Another example was an IT project where the client had significant changes in the requirements after the project was already underway. This required me to be flexible and adaptable in order to accommodate the changes while still meeting the project's objectives and timelines. I gathered information from the client on the reasons changes and their priorities for the project. Through this process, we were able to develop a plan that incorporated the changes while still maintaining the project's overall scope and timeline. Overall, handling difficult or challenging situations that require flexibility and adaptability as a project manager requires a combination of staying calm, gathering information and input, and effectively communicating with all relevant parties. Through these strategies, I have been able to successfully navigate challenging situations and keep projects on track. Let's look at question number 85. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be decisive or assertive? As a project manager, I understand that difficult or challenging situations are a normal part of any project and require a level of decisiveness and assertiveness to resolve. In such situations, I follow a structured approach to ensure that the best course of action is taken. First, I gather all relevant information and data to fully understand the situation at hand. This includes talking to team members, stakeholders, and other relevant parties to gather their perspectives and insights. I also review any documentation or reports that may be relevant to the situation. Once I have a clear understanding of the situation, I then analyze the options available to me. I consider the pros and cons of each option and assess their potential impact on the project. I also take into account any external factors that may influence the decision, such as project timelines, budget constraints, and stakeholder expectations. Once I have a clear understanding of the options available to me, I make a decision based on what is best for the project. I communicate this decision clearly to the team and stakeholders and explain the reasoning behind it. I also ensure that the team is fully aware of the expected outcome and the next steps to be taken. In addition, I involve my team members in the decision making process whenever possible. This helps to build a sense of ownership and accountability amongst team members and ensures that everyone is on the same page. Two examples of difficult or challenging situations that required me to be decisive and assertive in my role as a project manager in IT projects are the following. Number one, during a project to implement a new enterprise resource planning system, we encountered a problem with data migration. The team responsible for migration was struggling to meet the deadlines, and the project was at risk of falling behind schedule. I quickly gathered all relevant information and data, and after analyzing the options available, I made the decision to bring in an external data migration expert to assist the team. This decision allowed us to get back on track and meet the project deadlines. Example number two, during a project to develop a new mobile app, We encountered a problem with the app's user interface. The team was having difficulty creating a user interface that met the requirements of stakeholders. I quickly gathered all relevant information and data, and after analyzing the decisions and the options available, I made the decision to bring in an external user interface expert to assess the team. This decision allowed us to create a user interface that met the requirements of the stakeholders and ultimately helped the project to be a success. In conclusion, as a project manager, I understand that difficult or challenging situations are a normal part of any project, and I am equipped with the necessary skills to handle them effectively. I ensure that all relevant information is gathered and analyzed, and I make decisions based on what is best for the project. I also involve my team members in the decision making process whenever possible, and I communicate clearly with the team and stakeholders to ensure that everyone is on the same page. Here's question number 86. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be proactive? Here's the answer to it. As a project manager, I understand that difficult or challenging situations are a part of my project, and it's my responsibility to be proactive in identifying and addressing them. My approach to handling these situations is to first understand the root cause of the problem, then develop a plan of action to address it. One example of a challenging situation I faced in an IT project was a delay in the delivery of key components from a vendor. This delay was causing a ripple effect throughout the project, and it was clear that something needed to be done to get the project back on track. I immediately contacted the vendor and worked closely with them to understand the reason for the delay. After identifying the root cause, I developed a plan of action which included working with the vendor to expedite the delivery of the components and also bringing in additional resources to keep the project on schedule. Thanks to my proactive approach, we were able to get the project back on track and deliver it on time. Another example of a challenging situation I have faced in an IT project was a lack of resources. This was a major concern as it was causing delays in the project and putting pressure on the team. To address this issue, I first identified the specific areas where resources were needed and then developed a plan to acquire them. I reached out to other departments within the organization and also looked at external resources. By being proactive and developing a plan of action, we were able to secure the resources we needed and the project was delivered on time. In conclusion, as a project manager, I understand that difficult or challenging situations are a part of any project, and it's my responsibility to be proactive in identifying and addressing them. By understanding the root cause of the problem, developing a plan of action, and working closely with the team, I'm confident in my ability to manage any challenging situation that may arise. Here's question number 87. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be patient or persistent? As a project manager, I understand that difficult and challenging situations are an inevitable part of managing projects. In such situations, my approach is to stay calm and composed and approach the problem with a clear and rational mindset. I believe that patience and persistence are key attributes that are essential for handling such situations effectively. One example of a challenging situation that required patience and persistence was during a recent IT project that I managed. The project involved the development of a complex software system that required integration with several other systems. We faced several technical challenges during the integration process, and the team was struggling to find a solution. In such a situation, I knew that it was important to remain patient and persistent in order to find a solution. I encouraged the team to take a step back, analyze the problem, and come up with different solutions. We then worked together to implement the best solution, and were able to successfully complete the project. Another example of a difficult situation that required patience and persistence was when we were implementing a new IT infrastructure for a client. The client had a tight deadline for the project, and we were facing several issues with the new hardware and software that we were installing. The team was under a lot of pressure to get the project done on time, but we were facing several roadblocks. In such a situation, I knew that it was important to remain patient and persistent and not give up on the project. I encouraged the team to work together and find solutions to the problems that we were facing. We were able to overcome the obstacles and successfully completed the project on time. In conclusion, as a project manager, I understand that difficult and challenging situations are an inevitable part of managing projects. However, I believe that with patience and persistence, we can find solutions to any problem and successfully complete the project. Question 88. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be innovative and creative? As a project manager, one of my key responsibilities is to navigate difficult or challenging situations that require innovation and creativity. I approach these situations by utilizing a few key strategies. Firstly, I like to gather as much information as possible about the situation at hand. This includes understanding the goals and objectives of the project, as well as identifying any constraints or limitations that may impact the project. Once I have a clear understanding of the situation, I can then start to brainstorm potential solutions and ideas. Secondly, I believe in the power of collaboration and teamwork. I like to bring together a diverse group of individuals with different skills, perspectives, and experiences to work on a problem. This allows us to generate a wide range of ideas and solutions, and it also promotes a sense of ownership and buy in among the team. Finally, I always keep in mind the bigger picture and the long term of the project. This helps me to stay focused on the most important aspects of the situation and to make decisions that will ultimately benefit the project as a whole. I will give two examples of how I have handled difficult or challenging situations in IT projects. Example 1. A client approached us to develop a new software system that would streamline their business processes and improve efficiency. However, the client had a very tight deadline and a limited budget. To handle the situation, I gathered a team of developers, designers, and project managers to work together to understand the client's needs and requirements. We then brainstormed different solutions and ideas, and we ultimately came up with a system that met the client's needs and was within the budget. We were able to deliver the project on time and under budget, and the client was very pleased with the results. The second example, in another project, we were tasked with developing a mobile app that would integrate with a complex legacy system. The legacy system was outdated and had lots of limitations, which made it difficult to integrate with a new app. To handle the situation, I brought together a team of developers, designers, and project managers to work together to understand the legacy of system and identify the best way to integrate it with the app. We also involved the client in the process, and we were able to come up with solutions that met the client's needs and was within their budget. The app was successfully launched, and the client was very pleased with the results. In conclusion, as a project manager, I handle difficult or challenging situations that require innovation and creativity by gathering information, collaborating with a diverse team, and keeping in mind the bigger picture. I'm confident that my experience and skills will help me to successfully navigate any difficult or challenging situation that may arise in the future projects. Question number 89. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be collaborative or team oriented? Here's the answer. As a project manager, handling difficult or challenging situations that require collaboration and teamwork is a critical part of my job. I approach these situations with a combination of strong leadership skills, effective communication, and a focus on team building. One example of a challenging situation that required collaboration and teamwork was a project I managed for a large IT company. The project involved implementing a new software system for a client, and the client had specific requirements and a tight deadline. The project team was made up of developers, business analysts, and project managers from both the client and the IT company. The team members had different levels of experience and expertise, and there were some initial issues with communication and understanding each other's roles and responsibilities. To handle this situation, I made sure to establish clear communication channels and schedules for team members and updates. I also took time to build relationships and establish trust with each team member, which helped to foster a positive and collaborative working environment. I also clearly defined the roles and responsibilities of each team member and made sure that everyone had the resources and support they needed to perform their tasks. These steps helped to ensure that the project was completed on time and to the satisfaction of the client. Another example of a challenging situation that required collaboration and teamwork was a project I managed for a government agency. The project involved the integration of several different systems and databases, and the agency had strict security and compliance requirements. The project team was made up of IT professionals and subject matter experts from the agency, as well as external consultants. The team members had different levels of experience and expertise, and there were some initial issues with understanding the agency's requirements and the scope of the project. To handle this situation, I made sure to establish clear communication channels and schedules for team meetings and updates. I also took the time to build relationships and establish trust with each team member, which helped to foster a positive and collaborative working environment. I also clearly defined the roles and responsibilities of each team member and made sure that everyone had the resources and support they needed to perform their tasks effectively. I also worked closely with the agency's security and compliance team that all of the systems and databases were integrated in compliance with the requirements. These steps helped to ensure that the project was completed on time and to the satisfaction of the agency. In both of these examples, I demonstrated my ability to handle difficult or challenging situations that required collaboration and teamwork. I used strong leadership skills, effective communication, and a focus on team building to ensure that the project were completed successfully and to the satisfaction of the clients. Question number 90. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be a strong leader or mentor? As a project manager, it is essential for me to be able to handle difficult or challenging situations that require strong leadership and mentorship skills. I have had the opportunity to demonstrate these skills in several IT projects throughout my career. One example of a difficult situation that required strong leadership was during a project where the development team was facing significant delays in delivering the software due to unforeseen technical challenges. As the project manager, I had to step in and take a leadership role to ensure that the project was back on track. I first identified the root cause of the delays, which was a lack of clear communication and understanding of the technical requirements among the development team. I then worked closely with the team to establish clear communication channels and set realistic timelines for deliverables. I also provided mentorship and guidance to the team members on how to overcome the technical challenges they were facing. Through my leadership and mentorship, the project was able to meet its deadlines and deliver a quality product. Another example of a challenging situation that required strong leadership and mentorship was during a project where the client was not satisfied with the progress of the project. The client had a lot of specific requirements that were not well understood by the development team, which led to delays and increased costs. As the project manager, I had to work closely with the client to understand their needs and ensure that the development team had a clear understanding of the requirements. I also provided mentorship to the development team on how to communicate effectively with the client and manage expectations. My leadership and mentorship, the project was able to deliver a product that met the client's needs and exceeded the expectations. In conclusion, as a project manager, I understand that difficult and challenging situations are inevitable, but it is my job to be able to handle them effectively. I have demonstrated my ability to be a strong leader and mentor through my ability to identify the root cause of problems, provide guidance and the mentorship to the team, and effectively communicate with stakeholders to ensure the project's success. Hold on now. Before we move on to the next question, please hit like, share the video, and subscribe to our channel Career Talk. Hit the bell icon to never miss an upload. Let's go ahead. Question number 91. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be a strong communicator or negotiator? Well, here's the answer to it. As a project manager, handling difficult or challenging situations that require strong communication and negotiation skills is a crucial part of my role. One key strategy I use is to approach the situation with a clear understanding of the goals and prioritize of all the parties involved, including stakeholders, team members, and any external partners or vendors. This helps me to identify areas of potential conflict and to develop effective communication and negotiation strategies to address them. For example, in an IT project I managed, we encountered a difficult situation when a key vendor was not delivering on their commitments. Through careful negotiation and clear communication, I was able to work with the vendor to understand their challenges and to develop a plan to get the project back on track. This included setting clear expectations for deliverables, timelines, and communication protocols, as well as establishing regular check ins and progress reviews. Through this process, we were able to identify and resolve any issues that arose and ultimately deliver the project on time and within budget. Another example is that in an IT project I was managing, there was a change in the requirement from the client side. The change was significant and would have a big impact on the project timeline and budget. I had to communicate the impact to the stakeholders and negotiate the best course of action to move forward. I made sure that I clearly communicated the pros and cons of different options and helped the stakeholders understand the impact on the project. Through this process, we were able to agree on a plan that minimized the impact on the project and kept us on track to deliver the project successfully. In both examples, my ability to communicate effectively and to negotiate with all parties involved was key to resolving the challenges we faced and achieving a successful outcome for the project. Question number 92. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be strong problem solver or critical thinker? As a project manager, handling difficult or challenging situations that require strong problem solving or critical thinking skills is an integral of my job. I approach these situations by first identifying the root cause of the problem and then developing a comprehensive plan to address it. One example of a difficult situation I encountered was during an IT project for a client, where the project was significantly behind schedule. Upon investigating the issue, I discovered that the root cause was a lack of clear communication and coordination among the team members. To address this, I implemented regular team meetings and established clear lines of communication to ensure that everyone was on the same page. I also assigned specific roles and responsibilities to each team member to increase accountability and ensure that everyone was working towards the same goals. These actions helped to significantly improve the project's progress and we were able to successfully deliver it within the client's desired time frame. Another example of a situation was when a key team member unexpectedly resigned during an IT project for a client. This put the project at risk of falling behind schedule and potentially not meeting the client's expectations. To address this, I quickly identified a suitable replacement and ensured that the new team member was up to speed on the project's progress and objectives. I also established clear lines of communication and provided additional support to the new team member to ensure a smooth transition. As a result, we were able to maintain the project's progress and successfully deliver it within the client's desired time frame. In both of these examples, my approach was to identify the root cause of the problem, develop a comprehensive plan to address it, and take action to implement the plan. I also ensured regular communication and coordination among the team members to ensure that everyone was working towards the same goals and held them accountable for their roles and responsibilities. By taking this approach, I was able to successfully overcome the challenges and deliver the projects within the client's desired time frame. Here's question number 93. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be a strong multitasker or time manager? As a project manager, it is essential to have a strong multitasking and time management skills to handle difficult and challenging situations. These skills allow me to prioritize tasks, delegate effectively, and stay organized throughout the project. One example of a difficult situation that required strong multitasking and time management skills was during an IT project where we were working on a tight deadline. The project was to develop a new system for a client that had specific requirements and a tight deadline. As a project manager, I had to ensure that the team was working efficiently and effectively while also monitoring the progress on the project. To handle this situation, I created a detailed project plan and schedule, which allowed me to keep track of tasks and deadlines. I also set up regular team meetings to ensure that everyone was on track and to address any issues that arose. By multitasking and managing my time effectively, I was able to ensure that the project completed on time and to the client's satisfaction. Another example of a challenging situation that required strong multitasking and time management skills was during an IT project where we were dealing with multiple stakeholders. The project was to implement a new software system for a large organization, and there were many stakeholders involved, including different departments within the organization. As the project manager, I had to ensure that everyone was on the same page and that their needs were being met. To handle this situation, I set up regular meetings with each stakeholder group to understand their specific needs and concerns. I also created a detailed communication plan to keep everyone informed about the project's progress. By multitasking and managing my time effectively, I was able to keep all stakeholders engaged and ensure that the project was completed successfully. In conclusion, as a project manager, multitasking and time management skills are essential to handle difficult and challenging situations. By staying organized, prioritizing tasks, and effectively communicating with stakeholders, I am able to ensure that projects are completed on time and to the satisfaction of all the parties involved. Here's question number 94. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be strong team builder or motivator? As a project manager, one of my key responsibilities is to lead and manage a team of individuals towards a common goal. In order to do this effectively, it is essential for me to be a strong team builder and motivator. One of the ways I handle difficult or challenging situations is by actively communicating with my team members. I make sure to keep everyone informed about the progress of the project and any potential roadblocks. This helps to ensure that everyone is on the same page and that any issues can be addressed and resolved quickly. Another way I handle difficult situations is by being a positive role model for my team. I lead by example and demonstrate a can do attitude, even in the face of adversity. This helps to create a culture of positive and motivation within the team, which helps to boost morale and productivity. For example, on one IT project I was managing, we faced a major setback when a key team member left the company unexpectedly. This created a significant gap in a team's expertise and left us scrambling to find a replacement. To mitigate this, I actively communicated with the team and kept them informed of our progress. I also took on additional responsibilities and worked closely with the remaining team members to ensure that the project was completed on time and within budget. Through my leadership and positive attitude, we were able to find a suitable replacement and successfully complete the project. Another example was when the IT project was facing a tight deadline and the team was struggling to meet it. To address this, I held team building activities and encouraged open communication among team members. I also provided additional resources and support to ensure that everyone had the tools and resources they needed to be successful. By fostering a sense of unity and camaraderie within the team, we were able to meet the deadline and deliver the project on time. Overall, as a project manager, my goal is to create a positive and productive work environment for my team. By communicating effectively, being a positive role model, and fostering a sense of unity, able to handle difficult and challenging situations and motivate my team to achieve success. Now, on to question number 95. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be a strong planner or organizer? As a project manager, handling difficult or challenging situations that require strong planning and organizational skills is a fundamental aspect of my role. I approach these situations by utilizing a combination of key strategies and techniques to ensure that the project is delivered on time, within budget, and to the required quality standard. One example of a challenging situation that strong planning and organization skill was when I was managing an IT project for a large financial institution. The project involved the implementation of a new core banking system, which required the integration of multiple systems and the migration of data from the existing system. The project was complex and required a high level of coordination between multiple stakeholders, including internal teams and external vendors. To handle this situation, I developed a comprehensive project plan that outlined the key milestones and deliverables for the project, then established clear communication channels with all stakeholders, and held regular status meetings to ensure that everyone was aware of the project's progress and any issues that arose. Additionally, I closely monitored the project's budget and resources to ensure that we stayed within the allocated budget and that the team had the necessary resources to complete the project on time. Another example of a challenging situation that required strong planning and organization skills was when I was managing an IT project for a retail company. The project involved the implementation of a new e commerce platform, which required the integration of multiple systems and the migration of data from the existing system. The project was complex and required a high level coordination between multiple stakeholders, including internal teams and external vendors. To handle this situation, I developed a comprehensive project plan that outlined the key milestones and deliverables for the project. I then established clear communication channels with all stakeholders and held regular status meetings to ensure that everyone was aware of the project's progress and any issues that arose. Additionally, I closely monitored the project's budget and resources to ensure that we stayed within it and the team had the necessary resources to complete the project on time. Lastly, I used agile methodologies and had a dedicated team to handle the testing and quality assurance of the system, and also had a dedicated team for data migration. This helped me to break down the project into smaller tasks and made it easier for the team to manage. In conclusion, handling difficult or challenging situations that require strong planning and organization skills is a fundamental aspect of my role as a project manager. By utilizing a combination of key strategies and techniques, including developing a comprehensive project plan, establishing clear communication channels, and closely monitoring the project's budget and resources, I'm able to ensure that the project is delivered on time, within budget, and to the required quality standard. Here's question number 96. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be a strong decision maker or risk taker? As a project manager, I understand that difficult or challenging situations are an inevitable part of my job. When faced with such situations, my approach is to stay calm, collect all relevant information, and weigh the pros and cons of each decision before making a final one. Additionally, I make sure to communicate my decisions clearly and effectively to all team members and stakeholders involved. One example of a difficult situation I faced was during an IT project to implement a new software system for a client's customer service department. The client was extremely hesitant to change their current system, which was outdated and a lot of problems for their customer service team. However, after conducting a thorough analysis of the new software system, I was able to present clear and compelling data that demonstrated how the new system would improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the customer service department. Despite initial resistance, I was able to convince the client to move forward with the new system, which ultimately led to a significant improvement in customer satisfaction and reduced service response times. Another example of a challenging situation I faced was during an IT project to upgrade the networking infrastructure for a large company. The upgrade was essential for the company to meet its growing business needs, but there were concerns about the potential impact on the company's operations during the upgrade. I had to make the decision to proceed with the upgrade despite the risks involved. To mitigate these risks, I put in place a comprehensive project plan that included thorough testing, detailed training, and a dedicated support team to ensure minimal disruption to the company's operations during the upgrade. Thanks to the detailed planning and execution, the upgrade was successful and the company was able to meet its growing business needs. In conclusion, as a project manager, I always approach difficult and challenging situations with a calm and systematic approach. I consider all relevant information and make decisions based on the best interest of the project, the team, and the stakeholders. I also make sure to communicate my decisions clearly and effectively to all team members and stakeholders so that everyone can understand the reasoning behind my decisions. Here's question number 97. How do you handle difficult or challenging situations that require you to be a strong decision maker or risk taker? As a project manager, I understand that difficult or challenging situations are an inevitable part of my job. When faced with such situations, my approach is to stay calm, collect all relevant information, and weigh the pros and cons of each decision before making a final one. Additionally, I make sure to communicate my decisions clearly and effectively to all team members and stakeholders involved. One example of a difficult situation I faced was during an IT project to implement a new software system for a client's customer service department. The client was extremely hesitant to change their current system, which was outdated and causing a lot of problems for their customer service team. However, After conducting a thorough analysis of the new software system, I was able to present clear and compelling data that demonstrated how the new system would improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the customer service department. Despite initial resistance, I was able to convince the client to move forward with the new system, which ultimately led to significant improvement in customer satisfaction and reduced service response times. Another example of a challenging situation I faced was during an IT project to upgrade the network infrastructure for a large company. The upgrade was essential for the company to meet its growing business needs. But there were concerns about the potential impact on the company's operations during the upgrade. I had to make the decision to proceed with the upgrade, despite the risks involved. To mitigate these risks, I put in place a comprehensive project plan that included thorough testing, detailed training, and a dedicated support team to ensure minimal disruption to the company's operations during the upgrade. Thanks to the detailed planning and execution, the upgrade was successful and the company was able to meet its growing business needs. In conclusion, as a project manager, I always approach difficult and challenging situations with a calm and systematic approach. I consider all relevant information and make decisions based on the best interest of the project, the team, and the stakeholders. I also make sure to communicate my decisions clearly and effectively to all team members and stakeholders involved so that everyone can understand the reasoning behind my decisions. Question number 98. How do you handle team members who are not following project guidelines or protocols? As a project manager, it is important to have clear and effective communication with all team members regarding project guidelines and protocols. This includes setting expectations, providing regular updates and feedback, and addressing any issues or concerns in a timely and professional manner. One approach to handling team members who are not following project guidelines or protocols is to have a one on one meeting with them to discuss the specifics and concerns. During this meeting, I would first ask for their input and perspective on the situation and then provide clear and specific feedback on the areas where they are not meeting expectations. I would also provide guidance and support on how they can improve and align with the project guidelines and protocols. For example, in an IT project where we were developing a new software application, one team member was not following the coding standards that had been established for the project. During a one on one meeting, I discussed with them the importance of adhering to coding standards for the overall success of the project and the potential risks of not following them. I provided them with the necessary resources and training to improve their coding skills and align with the project guidelines. After this meeting, they made a significant effort to improve, and align with the coding standards, and the project was completed successfully. Another approach is to involve the entire team in a team meeting to discuss and address the issues. During this meeting, I would provide an overview of the project guidelines and protocols and the importance of adhering to them. I would then ask for input and feedback from the team members on any issues or concerns they may have. This approach allows for open communication and collaboration among team members and promotes a sense of shared responsibility for the success of the project. For example, in an IT project where we were implementing a new network infrastructure, some team members were not following the project schedule and missing deadlines. During a team meeting, I discussed the importance of adhering to the project schedule for the overall success of the project. I asked for input and feedback from my team members on any issues or concerns they may have and provided guidance and support on how to improve. After this meeting, the team members made a significant effort to align with the project schedule and the project was completed successfully. In conclusion, as a project manager, it is important to have clear and effective communication with all team members regarding project guidelines and protocols. By addressing any issues or concerns in a timely and professional, providing guidance and support, and involving the entire team in an open communication and collaboration, we can ensure that the team members are aligned with the project guidelines and protocols, and the project is completed successfully. Question number 99. How do you handle team members who are not collaborating effectively with others? As a project manager, it is important to address team members who are not collaborating effectively with others in a timely and effective manner. This is essential for maintaining the overall productivity and success of the project. First, it is important to understand the root cause of the lack of collaboration. This could be due to a lack of communication, conflicting priorities, or a lack of trust and respect among team members. Once the root cause is identified, it is important to address the issue with the team members in a private and non confrontational manner. One approach that I have found to be effective is to schedule regular team meetings to discuss progress, share ideas, and address any concerns. This helps to promote open communication and build trust among team members. Additionally, I make sure to assign clear roles and responsibilities to each team member and ensure that everyone understands the importance of their role in the project. Another approach I have used is to encourage teamwork and collaboration through team building activities. For example, in an IT project I managed, I organized a team building retreat where team members participated in activities that required them to work together to solve problems and achieve common goals. This helped to build trust and teamwork among team members and improved overall collaboration on the project. In a different IT project, I implemented a buddy system where team members were paired with a buddy who they were responsible for working closely with throughout the project. This helped to promote open communication and collaboration amongst team members and improved overall productivity. Overall, it is important to address the issue of lack of collaboration in a timely and effective manner and way, and to implement strategies that promote teamwork and open communication throughout the project amongst all of the team members. We are now at question number 100. How do you handle team members who are not meeting quality standards for their work? As a project manager, it is important to handle team members who are not meeting quality standards for their work in a constructive and professional manner. Here are two examples of how I have approached this issue in the past. In a previous project, I had a team member who was consistently submitting their work that did not meet the quality standards outlined in a project plan. I scheduled a one on one meeting with the team member to discuss their performance and to gather their perspective on the issue. After the meeting, it became clear that the team member was not familiar with the specific tools and techniques required to produce high quality work. To address this, I provided additional training and resources, as well as more frequent check ins to ensure that they were on track. The team members' work improved significantly as a result. In another project, I had a team member who was struggling to meet deadlines and deliver work that met a quality standards. This was causing delays in the project and impacting the overall team's performance. I met with the team member to discuss the issue, and it was determined that they were overwhelmed with their workload. To address this, I reallocated some of their tasks to other team members and provided them with additional support, training, and resources to help them manage their workload. Additionally, I implemented a more robust project tracking system to help us identify and address issues more quickly. This helped the team member to meet their deliverables on time and to improve the quality of their work. In both of these examples, it is important to have a clear, open, and respectful communication with the team members to understand the root cause of the problems and to find solutions that are tailored to the individual team members' needs. This approach helps to build trust and to maintain a positive and productive environment for everyone on the team. So that is it, friends. We have covered 100 project manager interview questions and answers. Share this video with your peers to ensure their success in their next project manager interview. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel Career Talk for more such content. See you next time.